Good morning everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bareham Engines.
So what's the old update on this Cossie then?
So mate, not good news I'm afraid.
No? So
No.
you got the crank out, so...
Got the crank out, got the engine stripped, and unfortunately this is an all too familiar, all been done tale. So unfortunately for the dear customer, this engine here, so the car apparently it's a 3-door Moonstone, immaculate car. Car's been nut and bolt restoration apparently. The engine's all meant to have been done. Right, so I'm trying to scratch my head here and come to a conclusion as to exactly what's happened. But the customer, after watching our previous video, he sent me a list of what this engine is meant to have. So it's all meant to have been built, done no more than 3,000 miles apparently. He said the clock was zeroed from when the engine was built or the car was built, or something like that. And it's done about 3,000 miles. So we're supposed to have a 200 block.
Right, yeah.
Which we have got.
So we got that.
As we've showed you, we've got the massive cracks in the top there.
Yeah.
That to me doesn't look like an engine failure, like a head gasket or overheating. It looks to me frost damage. So I would suspect that that block is definitely, that hasn't happened within 3,000 mile, I would say not. Two-wheel drive exhaust manifold, I don't know about that. Bottom end fully balanced. Well, we have seen witness marks of the balancing on the rods and the crank. ARP com rod bolts, which it has got in fairness. Two-wheel drive cylinder head, deck height 138.8. Let's have a little measure of that, shall we? See exactly what we have got. So we have so it's a little bit less than that, but that's not too bad. It's about sort of 1/4 mil that's come off that head, so that's fine. That's probably one of the better deck heights that we've had with those heads. Cylinder head CNC ported, 28.5 exhaust and 27 inlet. That sounds pretty big. That's like a normally aspirated spec, that. Does it look like it's been ported?
Yeah, it looks like it has been. Yeah, definitely.
Well, we'll have to have a measure of that and see what, but that's, I mean, they're very big ports, unnecessarily big. That's like normally aspirated spec, that. So whether they have been ported for that and it's been running that in the past, I don't know. ACL crank bearings, it has got ACL crank bearings. Now on here it's got standard Cosworth crank. Now whether that means the standard casting or whether it means it's standard size, standard size it is not, it's 0.5, so it's ground to the maximum on this. Arrow rods. Now this is where it starts to get a bit weird because we haven't got arrow rods, we've got actually standard rods. They're in here.
And the blast.
So I'm just cleaning them up now. Obviously we're just going to give them a blast.
Definitely
not arrow. So there's a few porkies been told there. Whether it's had arrow rods in the past and they took them out, don't know. Acrylite forged pistons, 92mm flat top. It has got the flat top acrylites in it. 7.5 to 1, which is, as I say, that crown design is very odd. Usually with these flat tops, it's a semi-finish really, so you can machine your own bowl in there. It comes with about a 10mm crown thickness. All they've done is skim the bloody things right down and no good at all, to be honest.
No.
Group A oil pump. I don't quite know what they mean by Group A oil pump, but it looks just like a two-wheel drive pump. But it looks like they put a new body on with the old cap and pipe.
Yeah.
So, big wing sump, it has got Cometic gaskets, which it has got some Cometic gaskets on it. So, bit of a weird one, mate. Yeah. It's I don't understand why they've lied about the rods.
No.
Because there's nothing really wrong with the original rods.
No. bit pointless, isn't it?
But it just seems to us that this thing, if you have a look in here, bear in mind this is not even meant to have done 3,000 mile. That
Very
is
dirty,
distinctly,
innit?
yeah. I just feel that they've done a bit of a lash up on this. They've swapped the block over to a piece of crap
Yeah.
that hasn't even been cleaned.
No.
And they've put the bits that they have uprated into it, but it just hasn't done.
No.
You know, it almost feels like it's just another motor. You know, if the guy was shown photos and what have you of a motor that's been built, this block certainly ain't the one, I would say.
No.
But it does get worse than that. So he knew that his block was scrap because of the cracks. That's why he's gone and bought the new 200 block there. But the crank, if you have a look at the bearings, he said this thing was running. But this certainly weren't done anytime soon. It's gripped on the centre main and it's actually spun it in the housing. So if you have a look at the cap.
Oh, that's pretty scored up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's a big gouge in
it's
there.
It's a big old gouge in there, mate. It's literally been running like that.
Yeah, bloody hell.
So this thing would need to have been line bored at the very least if it was any good. But fortunately, we got that.
Yeah.
But the only problem we got is because the crank, if we head this way, because the crank is on 0.5, which is a maximum grind, even if the journals measured okay, which I'm pretty sure they're not going to, we've set this up on here and you can see
so that's bent,
we've got about 11, 12 thou of bend on there. So not only is his block scrap, but so is the crankshaft. So we're going to have to get a new crankshaft. You can actually visibly see that.
Yeah, no, you can from
flapping
here.
Up and down. So even if this was a standard size crank, we wouldn't be grinding that out. We wouldn't be using that. It's just too much of a bend on it. So
that's done.
There's been some heat been getting through there. All the big ends the shells look some weird wear going on in there, almost like there's fuel or water contamination in the oil. So
not very good.
Not very good at all, mate. So obviously, it's meant to have Newman cams in it, but it hasn't. It's got standard cams in it. So yeah,
very odd.
Very odd. We've got to. So next step here, obviously, I'm going to have to price him for a new crankshaft, one that we supplied the other,
like that billet one.
The billet one. All the bits, and get an estimate over to him ASAP. But it's a really nice car. It's a 3-door Moonstone, you know, worth a few quid. I suspect he's paid good money for it. So, yeah, it's unfortunately, it's one of those all too familiar, all been done jobs, isn't it?
Painful to see, really.
So we cannot emphasise enough, whether you buy a donor engine or you buy a car with the engine, it's all meant to have been done. You've got to assume the worst.
You do, really.
Not very often have you got to replace the block or the crank, but certainly not both. But unfortunately with this one, we're left with some ancillaries, a cylinder head, and that really is about it. You're not using them pistons. We can use the rods if the housings measure okay, but yeah, bit puzzling really as to why they've done that with this.
It's annoying that always happens with these Cossies, really.
And it's not just one or two, is it?
No, it's a lot of them.
A lot of them. You know.
Well, like you say, they try and sell their engine, but they swap over to all sort of dud parts and that.
This is it, yeah. They
scrap, really.
I think because the cars are worth so much now, and they know how much it is to do an engine.
Yeah.
You know, they just want to get maximum for the car and don't seem to want to do the engine properly.
Bit of a shame, really.
It is a shame. But yeah, I would say this is, I don't know, this seems just it's been lashed up, put together to sell the car, really. I mean, look at that rear seal, look. What's going on there?
Been walloped in, isn't it?
Hopeless. So yeah, let's get an estimate over to him and see what he says. Right guys, I did say in the last video that I was going to show you exactly what's been going on over here. We're all having a bit of a move around. You can see now the new washing machine has moved homes. Isaac's been very busy sweeping the floor over there. Long overdue.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, we're starting the process of having to move around, mate, haven't we?
Yeah.
So.
Nice to have some room.
It is, yeah. And to be honest with you, there's quite a lot more room back here in the machine shop than I thought there was going to be. So all we've done so far, this is the plan. The big lathe was probably out to about here before, so we've moved that right back now. Excuse the mess around here, but you can see we've still got a nice walkway, but we certainly don't need about 10-foot width here. That's plenty of room there to work. So that is your sort of lathe and balancing area. So now with that moved back, we've got the washing machine sort of roughly where we want it. Probably maybe move it over a little bit, yeah. Maybe or the other way. Then what we're going to do is put the vapor blaster we're probably going to have here with the side door facing this way so we can load it okay, but it's all probably going to come a bit further over here. Now that big table round there is a little bit big round there, so we're going to probably put a couple of benches around there and move that big table over here.
Yeah,
what do you think, mate?
I think that's a good idea because you'll be able to get round all sides of it and
yeah, we've got
utilise it all.
We've got the two bench vices on there.
Yeah.
So we shall probably put that here, something like that. We're going to move the drilling machine maybe over by the wall. Move the pressure test rig is probably going to go over there. That machine's going to have to move around a little bit. And then we're going to have a big old gap here for that table so we can sort of do drillings and all the dirty stuff and obviously put heads on that need to be cleaned. So we've got the shop blaster that's right over in the corner, the blue one. We're thinking of having that over there up the wall next to the door. So if it does get, the trouble is when you've cleaned it out, it's okay. But when it gets a little bit dusty, we can open the door, just a bit more ventilation really. So, and that utilises that little wasted space of area there. Over there where the welding bench is and what have you, obviously we don't do welding anymore. We send it up to Tom Upton. So we're going to probably utilise that bench that is over there and make a little area to strip really grubby engines rather than put it in our nice clean area.
Yeah.
Good idea?
I think so. Just keeps it all separate, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah. The press is going to have to be moved maybe here or something like that. You know, we're going to have a little chop around with the machines, make a bit more area. But yeah, maybe put that there. And then we can obviously start to plan out where we're going to put our stud walls over in this area. So this is what Isaac and I have come up with. Don't know whether you agree, but we're going to be probably putting a stud wall that starts from here and comes to there. So not much, probably about 2 foot. And then behind that stud wall, we'll continue the stud wall over and then meet that post over there. And what that does is gives us a little walkway from this workshop into where we're doing the cylinder heads, so we haven't got to keep going through the clean area with dirty heads and what have you. What do you reckon, mate?
I reckon that's the best thing we could do, really.
Yeah, and then obviously behind here we'll have the stud wall will sort of go like that, so we can have the workbench here and that will continue up there, so all this will be studded off, so you no longer be able to access the head area from there. We'll probably we may put a little sort of entrance in from here, so you can still go through here, but you can enter the head area from this side as well.
Just means you haven't got to take anything dirty at all into that clean area.
Exactly, yeah, and we can sort of half this area. We'll have a studded wall here, and then what that does is give us a much larger area, here for in and out work. So we can have our two shelves there side by side, and then there's a big area here to put things like a couple of pallets with engines on and what have you. But this will all be sort of walled off.
Yeah.
As will all that. So we're thinking we can have 2 bays there for engines, same over there, 2 bays, and then 2 bays here. So 6 engines, probably more than that really, but we'll have more than enough. And as I say, that just eliminates all the dirty crap coming in and out of this area.
Yeah.
Do you think, mate?
I think it's good idea. It's just, yeah, just going to make everything cleaner.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, at the moment, the way it is, I've got my plumber mate coming in. He's got to plumb some water over to this area. Both sides, obviously, for this. We've got to put some ventilation in for the washing machine to go outside. We've got to put some more electric in here for obviously this and the vapor blaster. And that's it. It's all we can do really before we move it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So hopefully then, during the Christmas holiday, we can have a good clear up of all this stuff. Get this stuff upstairs. There's a load of stuff upstairs, old cylinder heads and that, which we're going to chuck. We're going to hire a skip. So all this will be cleared, and then we can get our ramp use back. And then start building the old stud walls in January.
Yep.
So
be good.
So yeah, let us know what you think about that in the comments, guys. Thank you very much in the last video in your comments for giving your advice on the flooring. It's only an idea, but
yeah,
it just seems to us, you know, if it gets damaged, you can replace it. It's hard wearing, it's hard vinyl. But yeah, we've had no experience with that sort of flooring. So if you have, put down in the comments what your experiences are with that. The only our thinking is with painting it, it's just going to get, it don't last 2 minutes. It's just going to look a bit scruffy. With that flooring, at least you can replace it if it does get damaged. The only thing we're going to be running over there is the engine crane and obviously engine stands, but they're meant to be durable, those floorings, for...
Well, you said they're good for forklifts and stuff.
Forklifts and pallet trucks, so should be pretty good. Let us know what you think.
Big plans.
Big plans. So guys, that's almost all we've got time for in today's video. It's Friday. The sun's actually shining out there today. But that's really, I suppose, the only bit of good news that we've got after this Cosworth. So I have spoke to the owner of this. He's given the go-ahead. I've said to him, look, we're going to need a new crankshaft. He's bought the new block, obviously, which is a good job. Even if this thing wasn't cracked, it's going to be touch and go whether we could even line bore this. It's that bad on the mains. So yeah, an all too familiar story with these Cosworth guys. To be honest, it really, really gets my goat, this sort of thing. The car is absolutely immaculate, apparently. It's a Moonstone 3-door, which is pucker. I think it's the best colour. So at least the car's good, but it just seems to be this thing with the Cosworths where they think that, you know, they can just lash up the engine because of the values of all these things. It's all got out of hands. You get the monkeys and the cowboys get hold of them and they just want to make a few quid on them, which, yeah, really, really annoys me. Because you can't see on the inside of the engine, they think they can get away with it, and most of them do. So, yeah, it's it really, really does annoy me. It's the same sort of thing as these people that get involved with the cars and building the engines, not just the Cossies, but anything classic that's worth a few quid. They all jump on the bandwagon, try and rip the customers off and stick a tax on because it is what it is. At the end of the day, we don't look at it like that. All right, we specialise in the Cosworth engines, but they're a Pinto bottom end, basically, aren't they? We don't, with a 16 valve head on, we don't sort of put a tax on them. All we want is just our money on the time we spend on them. Don't make a great deal of money on the parts and that. We just want to help the customers out and get them a good car, good engine, and have the fun that they've always dreamed of having with it. But yeah, unfortunately out there's a lot of people like this that take the customers for a ride, rip them off, cost them thousands and thousands of pounds. It just leaves a little bit of a bitter taste in everyone's mouth, to be honest with you. So if I knew who it was who'd sold this car, I would be certainly naming and shaming them. I don't see why they should get away with it, but there we go. So yeah, the crank's not going to be here till after the new year on this one, but we are going to be cracking on. We've got a long stud the other block. We've got to put the oil jets in it and make it all a bit trick, and all the rest of the bits are on order, guys. So yeah, have a nice weekend. Until Monday's video, we'll see you then. Take care, guys.